Today we have picked up a new topic for you, which is figure analogies. It's a common type of problems you will see for your COGAT tests. Starting with the first one, what we have here are three figures given here, 1, 2, 3, and this is the typical problem. You will see that 3 or 4 figures would be given to you and you have to find the fourth one. Common logic involved in these type of problem is to find what connects these three figures in this case, and what will be the right one from the given options here. So that's the typical problems that you will have. Starting with this one, my first instinct would be to start counting the sides, or the number of sides you will have for these type of figures in this case. And this is the tip that that you will use, you will find useful for the problems of these types, is to tick each side when you have counted it. So in this case, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So this is a figure which has 7 sides. This one, again, if I start counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So it's the figure with 7 sides. And if I count this one too, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So this is a figure with 7 sides. So my job is to find which one of these is a 7-side figure. Clearly, this one looks like a 7. So let me try that to save time. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's the figure with 7 sides. This is a figure with 5 sides. This is clearly a lot more than 7, maybe 8, maybe 10. I don't need to count that. This is clearly a hexagon which has 6 sides, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this side is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, a lot more. I do not need to count. So that's where my answer lies. So that's your option there. Next figure, and you will find these type of problems as well. So what I have here is a set of figures given. In the first figure I have 4, in the second figure I have 4 objects, and in the last one I have 4 too. The pattern here I'm looking for is really squiggly lines fills the first object, while it is the dark solid second object. Again squiggly, again dark solid. So squiggly lines and dark solid alternating is the pattern that I've identified. Does it work in the second as well? Squiggly line, solid, squiggly line, solid, and solid squiggly line. So my bad, that's solid, squiggly line, solid, squiggly line. So solid and squiggly line as the alternating pattern is what I'm really looking here. And the first glance tells me solid, let's say solid, and squiggly line, solid, and squiggly line. So that should be my first choice when these problems are given to you. If I just glance, this can't be an option. There are more squiggly lines, more solids, more squiggly lines than solids, so I won't choose them over the third or the fourth option I choose there. The next problem what I have is a circle divided into 4 quadrants, and on the opposite quadrants I have a circle and I have a square. Opposite quadrants I have a circle, a square, a circle, a square. So a circle with 4 quadrants filled with a small square and a small circle. That is 2 circle, that is circle square, but on the adjacent one 2 squares, circle square on the adjacent. So my answer is E, where the condition, the characteristic is similar to the given problem. Next one, what I see here are 3 different type of objects given: a square, an arrow, and a circle. That's solid circle, a heart, and a circle, and a square. But what I see here is, as I have given 3 different type of objects, one object particularly is solid, 2 others are hollow. Hollow, solid, hollow. Here, even though there are 3 objects, one is a hexagon, one is an arrow, one is a circle, they are within each other's, or rather into each other, but still I see hexagon is hollow, arrow is hollow, the circle is solid. So I need 3 objects, that's my first condition, and I need one solidly filled and 2 hollow objects. Where do I find them? There are there are three, but then both are two solid objects, so I won't choose them. Here again I have arrow which is solid and a square which is solid, while the circle is hollow. I need two hollow and one solid, so let me write that: two hollow and one solid. That's the pattern. In this case I have square which is hollow, arrow which is hollow, while the internal smaller square which is solid, that satisfies my condition, so that is my answer. The next question shows me a set of three objects and they are filled in a different manner. So this is solid fill, squiggly lines, dotted lines. Okay, so that's the pattern I see here. So three objects, I need three objects. One is solid, one is solid, one is squiggly line, and one is dashed line, right? So I have dash, squiggly, solid, squiggly, dash, solid. Any sequence is fine with me. I just need three objects with three different filling patterns. Here I have three objects, but two are solid, this one and this one, so that's not my option. Here I have solid, squiggly, dashed lines, and squiggly lines. So that seems to be the correct option. Here there are two dash lines, so that's not an option. Two solids, not an option. Two solids, not an option. So my option is here, the second one, the correct option. This is an interesting problem in front of you, and immediately you would notice that I have two objects of the same shape, and both are solidly filled, but one object is on top of each other. The top object, if I assume the heart is looking upward, this one is turned a quarter circle or 90 degrees, as you will learn as you go ahead in your studies. So that's the pattern. Here this object is turned 90 degrees to the left. Again I have pentagon, but pentagon's tip is turned 90 degrees in this direction. So basically I need two objects and one turned 90 degrees to the left. I see these two objects, same direction. These two objects, but then they are opposite to each other, not 90-degree turn. This is a hexagon and this is a pentagon. Make no mistake, I identify them correctly, so not an option. Here it's a oval and a circle, both are different objects, so not an option. So what I have here is a triangle, and I have turned that triangle 90 degrees. If I keep an eye on my tip of the triangle, or one vertex of the triangle, and that satisfies both my condition, hence this is my correct option. The next one, in one of the problems above, we saw that we identified three objects: heart, a square, and a hexagon. One is filled, two are empty. So one is filled, two empty, and three objects in all. So that's the pattern I identified. Does it work? Let's see. Probably not. It's not the right way to look at it, because I have two filled. Here is hexagon again, a heart shape again, and a square again. Hexagon is filled, square is filled, so two filled. Okay, so that pattern is not the correct pattern, so I let that object go. So you will have to test different patterns before you identify the correct one. Instead, what I have really here is a heart, a square, and a hexagon. A hexagon, a heart, and a square. Heart, square, my bad, hexagon, square, and a heart. So I need three objects. How many of them are hollow or filled? That isn't really necessarily the condition here. So I need three objects where I have hexagon, heart, and a square. Where do I find it? I find hexagon, I find heart, and I find square. That's all I need to find, and that clearly is my answer. If I look at this new problem, and if it's not clearly visible, a circle is kept here in here. So what I have here is a regular polygon, right? And a regular polygon also has a solid small dot or circle, whichever you want to put it, inside them, fitting in one of the corners or vertex of those hexagons. So you have a pentagon, 5 sides, sitting in one of the corners is this spot, is this black dot or a circle. I have a triangle sitting here in the corner is my dark dot, and I have a quadrilateral or a square for that matter, and sitting here is the dot. Do you find anything that satisfies those conditions sitting here? Take a moment and see. All right, here it's not a polygon per se, and the dot is at the center, so I won't pick that as my best option. The dot is outside here, so not an option. There is no dot but a triangle, so I will ignore this one too. There's a dot here, but it is not sitting in the corner, so it's a little bit question mark. So let's see, we'll come back to that. Here we have a regular star, if that's a polygon, and a solid dot sitting in the corner. So it actually satisfies the condition that I need: a polygon, a regular one, and a solid dot sitting in one of the vertex or the corners. So I will pick this option, the option 2, over this. So I will not choose that. There it comes, and it is one of my favorite ones, and I can explain this with a fraction. But rather than making a little difficult for you, let's see how simply can we do it. A hexagon is, in the first option we have a hexagon that's divided into 6, if I may, in equal triangles, and out of this 1, 2 and 3 triangles are filled or shaded, and we have 4, 5, 6, that's a 3 triangles which are not shaded. So basically 50% or half of this hexagon is filled or shaded. If I look at the second figure, I have 1, 2, 3, 6, 9 and 12 small squares, out of which 1, 2, 3 and 4, 5, 6. 6 are filled. So basically half of my small squares are filled. So that means 50% of this figure is also filled. Here this is filled, that's empty, 2 empty. That means this is 50% filled. So I'm looking at a figure which is half filled or 50% filled. That's not 50% filled, that's not 50% filled. Clearly this is more than 50% filled, this is more than 50% filled. So what I have here is this rectangle divided into 8 small squares. 1, 2, 3, 4 are filled, 4 are empty. That's my 50%, and that is my option correct as well. This is a beautiful problem, and I take this problem in all my classes just to implement an idea of direction and the left and the right hand side orientation. Okay, now what I really have here is an arrow which is divided into 3 different patterns. One is a dot pattern, solid fill or other gray fill, and a solid dark black fill, right? So I'm looking at an arrow split in 3 parts and have 3 different fill pattern. That's here the same, here's the same. Now why are these 3 arrows are same or similar? Okay, one may ask, and hence how do I find right option? Now if I just try to look at the first 3 options, first 3 problem set, 1, 2, 3, and the options, clearly this is not something which will fit into my given pattern. It's split into only 2 solid fill and dotted fill, so that's not my option. It's a too small arrow, only split into 2 fills. This is small arrow, even though it is split into 3 parts, but doesn't satisfy my condition because of its size, so not my option. So between the third and the fifth, which one is the right answer? Now when you see such problems, what you can do is one thing. When I pick this arrow, let me use another color for it. When I'm looking in the direction of the arrow, which is this, what do I have? I have on my left side a dark solid fill, while on my right side a dotted fill. When I'm looking in the second arrow, in the direction of the arrow, I have a solid fill on the left. So let's say solid fill on the left, dot fill on the right, solid fill on the left side, dot fill on the right side. Similarly, dot fill, I'm looking in this direction, dot fill on the right side, solid fill on the left side. So which one of these two options, this one and this one, satisfies the condition? Let's start this one. I'm looking in this direction. On the left hand side, I have a solid fill. On the right hand side, I have a dot fill. In this direction, if I try this arrow, if looking at this arrow, this is actually my right side and I have a solid fill. That is wrong. So my correct answer is this, answer 3. This is a very good problem, and please look at this part of the video in case you're not very clear how this problem is looked at or solved. This is what we call in the language of a cricket a googly problem. It looks very simple, but finding a solution to this is not that simple unless you have what you call as an hawk's eye. So when I look at these problems, what I have, simple three question problems, or the figures given to me, a hexagon, a triangle, and a kind of a quadrilateral. How do I find the solution? Now, the number of sides is probably less important in this problem as compared to what kind of angles or the corners we have. And here we have corners which are not sharp but a bit more chiseled or beveled corners, or a circular corners. So I'm looking for a figure which has circular corners. That's a sharp corner, that's a sharp corner, sharp, sharp. Only thing is a square with a circular or a beveled or chiseled corners. That's here is my answer. This problem looks a little complicated as compared to the other problems that we solve. Here we have a square divided into 9 parts, and then we have 3 figures moving around in different shapes and figures. So what we have here is really a star, a parallelogram, or let's say some sort of quadrilateral, and a octagon here. You count the sides, it's an octagon, right? So 3 figures moving around. How do I find a solution? Okay, now when I look at this, what I really see is this star is a bit left aside by these two buddies, the quadrilateral and an octagon. Now that doesn't look too bad in the first one, but it continues, star and these two buddies together, again star and these two buddies together. So we have to find a figure which has a star, a quadrilateral, and an octagon, where star is set aside or kept aside, but the other two figures are together. Immediately I find this, a star is a bit aside and I have a quadrilateral and octagon, and looks like that's the correct answer because there is a star missing here. The star is very close to the quadrilateral and the octagon is aside here, so I don't like this. The star, it's the same as the problem second, so I don't like this. Star is with the quadrilateral, star is with the quadrilateral in this too. So my answer is this one. We are coming to the end of the video, but maybe 1 or 2 problems left. What I have here is interesting looking figures. Okay, now you may find a little difficult on understanding what really is keeping these figure 1, 2, and 3 together. And as you may have already thought about the first problem when we started, what we did is to count the number of sides. Let me use a different color here. And the tip I gave is just mark the side that you are going to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh my God, that's a 6-side figure, a kind of a hexagon. Clearly, this is an hexagon too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But what is this figure? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is a different hexagon. So what we have here is a type of a hexagon with a solid square floating around inside each of these. Here you go, here you go, here you go. It needn't be in the corner or alongside any of the sides. It could be floating at the center, that's fine. So what I need is 6 side figures and a filled square. Okay, so 6-side figure. I see this is clearly hexagon, and a filled square here. So the first option itself satisfies both my condition, so must be my answer. But let's check. Here there is no square, filled square, and it's a pentagon, so not my option. Here is a quadrilateral, not a hexagon, even though we have a square here. Here it's a octagon, it has 8 sides if you count, so it's not an option. And a circle, or even though we have square here, is not my option. So the answer is problem 1. This one again looks a busy problem, but what we really have here is a tic-tac-toe type of situation where we have squares. Let's count how many squares rather. 1, 2, 3 and 4. So let me put that 4 number indicating squares, and these small figures are hexagons. So if you see 1, 2, 3, 6, so it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hexagons. How many? 1, 2, let me use a different color. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So 5 hexagons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 hexagons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 hexagons, and 4 squares, 4 square. So what we really need is either a 4 or 5 hexagons and 5 squares. Here if I see, I have 5 hexagons and 4 squares. And that solves the problem for me. But that is not the way I would look at it. I think what we have to see is how many squares in total we have, and we have 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, and here we will need as a next figure 5 squares, and hence I will choose problem 2 as 5 square problem. That brings to me the last problem, where you would see that you have 3 figures, oval, quadrilateral or parallelogram, and a pentagon. A pentagon, so it's a pentagon, a quadrilateral, and an oval. A pentagon, a quadrilateral, and an oval. So if you see, not only the 3 figures are same, the sequence from top to bottom is the same. Don't mind the shapes right now, but the sequence is same. So again, a pentagon, a quadrilateral, and a oval shaped figure. So we really have to find 3 figures, pentagon, quadrilateral, and oval, in that sequence from top to bottom. I think that if I stick with that logic, what I have here is a pentagon, a quadrilateral, and an oval here. Right, that brings us to the end of this session. Hope you liked it. We will bring more of similar problems in my next video. But to get advantage of those videos, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It's Pinnacle Math. Also, don't forget to share with your friends if you really liked it and find it easier to solve. And don't obviously forget to click the bell icon so that whenever we have put any interesting new videos, you will get notified and you will benefit from it. So happy learning, happy calculating. See you soon. Bye-bye.